Gather round as I tell you the story of my gardening journey. I always knew I wanted to grow my own food. It's been one of my longest dreams. This journey technically begins many years ago when I took my first horticulture class to learn the basics of botany. When my husband and I first met, we realized that we shared the same dream. We both wanted land and to grow our own food, so we got started working towards that goal. Before our house was even built, I started making compost in our old home, and I was bringing it out here to help fertilize the land and make the soil rich. After the house was built and we moved in, I was eager to start a veggie garden. So in March, April, and May, I started seedlings inside and sort of staggered them out so that I would have different things to plant. The seedling stage was one of the hardest for me. I think that's where I ended up losing a lot of my plants. My husband built these temporary garden boxes so that we could learn and figure out what we wanted to do for our long-term garden plan. Because we're starting the landscaping completely from scratch, we weren't exactly sure where we wanted things, and I'm glad we did it that way because I'm definitely going to move stuff around going forward. As the weather got warmer, I started seeing things growing, and I spent every single day outside tending to the garden and doing little mini harvests. I am a total amateur gardener. I'm just kind of learning as I go, so I was excited to even just see one vegetable come up. Every time we walked outside and saw something, it was like a little mini celebration. Obviously, when you're growing your own food, that means you're going to be cooking your own food, so my husband and I tried a bunch of different recipes. One of my favorites was these fried zucchini flowers. Just so much fun trying new recipes. It's just so much more rewarding, and it tastes so much better when you grew it yourself. In the peak of the growing season, my routine would just be roll out of bed with my coffee and let the garden tell me what I was going to have for dinner that night. I loved incorporating even just one thing that we grew ourselves into every single meal. We had fresh zucchini coming out of the garden every single week, and instead of having to go to the grocery store when I ran out of onions, I just had to walk outside and pluck them out of the ground. We just did our very last harvest of the year, which was our onions and potatoes, washed a few of them to use now, and then stored the rest in our cold room. I considered this my practice year. I feel like I learned so much. We have so many plans for next year, and I can't wait for next season.